Bantam Doubleday Dell Audio Publishing presents Star Wars Solo Command, Book 7 of the X-Wing series by Aaron Allston. Naval Lieutenant Jart Ahan looked rested and cheerful. The fact that he had only 12 minutes to live would have changed the Twi'lek's disposition, but he did not possess that knowledge. An aide, a human female, approached him and saluted. "I hope you enjoyed your leave."
"Oh, certainly."
"I wanted to let you know you had a communication from your wife come in a few minutes ago. It was flagged as urgent." Ahan nodded thanks and headed for his quarters. What could be the trouble? He'd barely left her after spending his entire leave with her. But he frowned, trying to recall just how they'd spent their time together. He had the nagging feeling that something important was slipping by him. At his quarters, he brought up his personal terminal and opened his mail. There his wife sat before their terminal at home, and she looked distinctly unhappy. She glanced over to the side as though consulting with someone outside recording range.
"Jart,"
she said.
"those Wookiees are dancing in the parlor again."
Ahan switched off the message, not bothering to hear it in its entirety, and erased it. He retrieved his personal sidearm, a small but powerful blaster pistol, tucked it away in his pocket, and departed. Two beings sat facing each other across a hollow table.
In terms of pure strategy, there was nothing of particular interest between the capital ships in the Mon Ramonda Iron Fist fight.
The speaker was a Gamorrean, one of the pig-snouted humanoids known for their warlike dispositions, but almost nothing but his appearance characterized him as a member of that species. He was speaking Basic, which was beyond the capabilities of other Gamorreans, and his voice was not a natural one. His words emerged twice, once in a throaty babble that sounded like gibberish to most people, and once in a mechanical tone from an implant in his throat. Too, he was the only Gamorrean known to wear a New Republic Fleet Command uniform. The being the Gamorrean addressed was also unusual, though his kind was certainly well represented in the ranks of the New Republic military. Admiral Akbar was a member of the Mon Calamari species, humanoids with fish-like features and rubbery skin. Though there were many Mon Calamari serving the New Republic, few had combat maneuvers named for him, or had designed fighter craft as Akbar had.
"So you find nothing of interest in the engagement?"
Admiral Akbar's voice was low, gravelly, slightly more imposing than the standard for his species.
"If you will forgive me, I did not say that, sir,"
the Gamorrean continued.
"Mathematically speaking, there is much of interest in the behavior of the 181st. In addition to the fact that a demonstrably loyal Imperial elite squadron should not be working hand-in-hand with a rogue warlord like Zsinj, there is something odd in the way they fight. Individual fighter pairs tend to respond with an interesting sameness to specific attack patterns."
The door into Akbar's office opened, and the Admiral looked up as the naval officer entered.
Lieutenant Ahan, allow me to present Flight Officer Voort Zvinring, also called Piggy. Zvinring, this is Lieutenant Jart Ahan, security detail."
Piggy rose to salute the naval officer.
"Pleased to meet you, sir."
Ahan returned the salute.
"Likewise."
Then he pulled his blaster from behind his back, pressed it into Piggy's stomach, and pulled the trigger. It is remarkable, Piggy thought. the suddenness of it. One moment perfect health, the next moment perfect agony. He could not see. The pain in his gut was so great, and he could barely hear. He knew he lay upon his back, but couldn't remember getting there. I think I have only moments to live. Interesting. But the science that had altered him, giving him control over his emotions, had not done away with all of the biological imperatives that came with being Gamorrean. Another voice rose within him, growing louder. Kill him! Piggy tried to stand, but found that his shaky limbs were not making it an easy task. He saw Akbar slam into the assassin from the side, the webbed hands of the Mon Calamari closing around the Twi'lek's throat. But Lieutenant Ayan effortlessly wrenched Akbar's hands free and threw the Admiral against the wall. Piggy forced himself to his feet. Time left, estimated 10 or 12 seconds. Kill him, kill him, kill him! He walked, his feet unsteady, to Akbar's desk. He heaved, and it came up off the floor, though it nearly unbalanced him. Good, I still have my strength. He lurched into motion toward the assassin and dropped the desk so that it would not fall upon Admiral Akbar. When he regarded his handiwork, he saw that the Twi'lek's head was a quarter the width it should have been. A smashed mess that pleased one of the voices in Piggy's head, even as it appalled the other. Admiral Akbar was struggling to rise. He was speaking, but suddenly Piggy couldn't understand the words. The Gamorrean fell over backwards as the heat and pain in his gut spread out to overwhelm him. The enemy interceptor suddenly jittered in Wedge's sensor screen. He fired, and saw the green flashes of 3 of his lasers connect with the interceptor's engines. The squint blew out of the sky, and Wedge jerked hard to port to avoid flying through the thickest part of the debris cloud. He switched his comm unit over to a general broadcast frequency and said, "Exercise terminated." The voice of Garrick Face Lauren, one-time boy actor for the Empire and now New Republic flyer, came back.
But I'm not dead yet.
You're protesting?
Not exactly, just curious.
The vista of the lunar surface faded abruptly to blackness. Wedge reached back to open the access hatch situated where the twin ion engines were in a real TIE interceptor and climbed out into overhead light. The room was a large one, crowded with tables, chairs, and simulator units. Across an aisle busy with human traffic, Face Lauren dropped nimbly to the floor and looked curiously toward Wedge. Wedge waved him over. They were joined a moment later by 2 other pilots. Flight Officer Lara Notzel, a lightly built woman with downy blonde hair, was possessed of a delicate beauty that belied her intensity and skill in starfighter combat. Captain Tycho Selku, a fair-haired man with features that suggested he'd weathered a lot of turmoil in his life, spoke first. "Why'd you kill the Sim, Commander?" "We were here to test the youngster's new combined unit tactic," Wedge said. "As soon as you and Lara went out, it became just another X-Wing versus TIE exercise. And," he checked the chrono strapped to his wrist, "we have about 10 minutes to get to our briefing." Most of the members of Rogue Squadron and Wraith Squadron were in their seats in the semicircular briefing amphitheater when Wedge entered. "Commander Antilles, draw!" Wedge turned at the sound of Wes Jansen's voice. The eternally youthful pilot, executive officer of Wraith Squadron, was on his feet aiming a datapad as though it were a blaster pistol, thumbing the transmit button with manic intensity. Wedge sighed and brought out his own datapad to receive the transmitted file. But Jansen's antics were a good sign. They suggested that the news Wedge was waiting for had arrived, and was good. En route to the main dais, he glanced at the Rogue Squadron executive officer, Nawara Ven, a distinguished-looking Twi'lek with brain tails arrayed artfully over his shoulders, and Wedge received a data file from him as well. He glanced over the 2 officers' transmissions as he stepped up behind the lectern, then looked up at the pilots before him. 2 squadrons, nearly at full fighting strength, the best pilots he could assemble and train. He felt a rush of pride. at what he'd managed to accomplish with these 2 units. At the level it...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?